So as Benita is so beautifully explaining to Soham, that Krishna comes in different millenniums, in different times, to give the perfect amount of religious teaching to the people in that area, in that time and place. Even all the religions have their great prophets and representatives, or even incarnations of the Lord. And so too in the Vedic understanding, there's the system of avatar. Avatar means what?
Forms.
It can be form. The Sanskrit, what does it actually translate out to?
One who descends.
One who descends. Coming from above and descends, comes below. For the benefit of us. Yes, so Bhagavad Gita, in this verse, he says, whenever and wherever there's a decline in religious practice, whenever religion declines, and it eventually will decline, because we mess everything up as humans. We're just not, we can't execute everything perfectly. To err is human, that's what they say, the Western axiom. And this is true. We always are making errors, and eventually we mess up all the religions, and then again the Lord has to come and reestablish. So he says, O descendant of Bharata, and a predominant rise of irreligion. When religion falls, what rises?
Evil.
Yes, and evil is another word for that, is adharma, or irreligion. That which is irreligious. You know, there's a very popular, atheism is growing and growing in all the countries of the world. You know, and this is natural, because we're progressing through, you could say, a dark age. So now more than ever, we need this. We need this because irreligion, what it does is it causes all kinds of disturbing situations. And eventually what it will cause is war. And actually, you know, I mean, at least in this country, we're closer to that than we've been in a very long time. You know, just the division between neighbors. I hope my mom's not watching, but I was just looking at her and her friends going on their Facebook posts, and they're just arguing about political parties. But like, this is not really how friends should act, you know. But just arguing, no, this political party is this, and no, this political party spends like this, and they're all a bunch of rascals, all irreligious, but they're all, you know, for whatever reason, we're fighting. But this is actually the nature of when irreligion rises. So by good fortune, it's not that bad yet, where Krishna hasn't had to come personally. Like in this war here, it got quite bad at some point in the Mahabharata war. But we must take preventative measure, lest we will also fall victim to all the inauspiciousness that adharma causes. So another famous verse after that is Paritranaya sadunam vinashaya chadushkritam Dharma samsthapanarthaya sambhavami yuge yuge. So you know all these verses. So why does Krishna come? What did you all just say?
To save good people and to
Yes.
Paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya chadushkritam.
Yes, yes.
And to destroy the
Destroy
evils.
the bad things.
Yes. It's exactly why he comes.
And to establish
The main thing is to give relief and pleasure to the sadhus, to the devotees, to those who are not just good, not just dharmic people, but people who have some affinity, some affection for the Lord. That's the main reason he comes. And why do they need the Lord's affection and relief? Because the miscreants or the bad people are usually harassing the good people. That's usually happens when dharma falls and adharma rises, or irreligion rises. The adharmis, or the irreligious people, then they harass the dharmis, who are doing the religious, the pious things. So it gets tougher and tougher. So that's why the Lord has to come. And he has to reestablish the principles of religion. And he says he advanced himself millennium after millennium. He'll do this time and time again. And you can see, I don't know if you're familiar, you all know the Dashavatar Stotram, right? Yeah, so that's 10 of many, many avatars of the Lord. It said there's more avatars of the Lord than there are waves in the ocean. How many waves did you see in the ocean last time you went, Piyush? He couldn't count. So, yes, there's that many avatars of the Lord. But there are 10 main ones we focus on, at least in this Kali Yuga, in this time period. So then he says another famous verse. You know this one? Janma karma cha me divyam evam yo vetti tattvataha tyaktva deham punar janma naiti mameti sorjuna. This one's very nice. This one is one of the most important verses, because you'll actually understand your potential destination, and also you may understand that the place that we're currently in isn't necessarily the ideal situation. So this is not my words, Krishna's words, but I recommend, Krishna's Shiksha is very beneficial. So I recommend you just take it and see how it is. But he says, one who knows the transcendental nature of his appearance and activities, Janma, his birth, Karma, his activities, Chame Divyam, the transcendental or divine nature of those things. One who knows that does not, upon leaving the body, take his birth again in this material world, but attains my eternal abode, O Arjuna. So what's the value? Why wouldn't we want to come to this material world again? I mean, the kids look like they're having fun in the material world. Maybe they'll learn when they're adults it's not as fun as they thought. But yes, every adult is like, their soul is crying. So yes, being an adult is not nearly as fun as being a child. But what's wrong with the material world? What are some of the fundamental issues about being here in the material world?
Suffering.
Suffering, yes.
Ego.
Yes, yes. Ego is a result.
Jealousy.
Yes, these are all things, all the vices that are coming. Yes, yes. They're all stemming. Krishna established in the end of the 3rd chapter already that the source of all these things is lust. Meaning, all the living entities are trying to fulfill their desires in this world. And they're very eager to fulfill their desires. But the problem is, when you chase your desire, and Piyush chases his desire, and Meghna's chasing their desires, and everyone's chasing their desires together, we all get in each other's way, and then we create enemies, and then we fight, and then we quarrel, and there's all kinds of miseries and sufferings. The main 4 miseries are birth. We just showed up in some family, and we have no knowledge. Like right now, we're about to have a birth in our family, our first birth in our family, ever, at least in this lifetime. I probably lived many lifetimes and dealt with many births, but in this lifetime we're going to have birth. But the baby will be helpless upon coming into the world. It's not like the baby will come out and teach me philosophy, or the baby will come out and give me some nice discourse. No, the baby will be practically, for all intents and purposes, helpless. So it's actually a fundamental issue. We get born in this world and we're helpless. And no matter who is there to care for us, we take their qualities. So we all I don't know, in the West this is much more, maybe, I don't know, in the East I'm sure. But do you find that you take the qualities of your parents? Yes, you do. Even if you don't want to. Even if you don't want to, you do anyway. Why? Because this is the nature of birth. You're just like a little sponge that just is placed in their care, and everything that they teach you learn and you absorb, and that's who becomes who you are. And then eventually over time you have many other influences as well. But by and large, Arjuna was crying in the 1st chapter about what will happen if he kills all the relatives, and what will happen to the progeny in the future, that they'll all learn adharma and all these other things. So this is actually a fundamental issue. We're all born into a family. We don't necessarily know why, but you can't choose your family. Some of us, like Soham and Summer and all these nice children here, they got very nice, pious families, but that isn't always necessarily the case. Some people are born in all kinds of families with all kinds of karma, good, bad, ugly, and so on. So that's a fundamental issue, is we're born and we're helpless, and we are at the mercy of whoever takes care of us, if anyone does take care of us at all. Now in the West, abortion is more and more lauded, and even the political parties, they glorify it. Yes, we should definitely do this. We should have this available for everybody. But actually, this is, for that soul trying to take birth, it's quite a predicament for them, because they're trying to take birth. But you just remove So not everyone gets the chance to even take birth. And in this age, it's becoming more and more acceptable to no, discard of this. And anyway, definitely not trying to get into politics, but you're lucky if you even get to take birth in this age anymore. But so once you do take birth, what do you do? What's the point? Why am I here? What's the purpose? So this we have to find out. This is a fundamental issue, an existential crisis. What's the point of life? Is it just to eat, sleep, and be merry? Eat, drink, and be merry, as the Americans say? I'll give you a hint. No, that is not the answer. So anyway, the Vedas say Atato Brahma Jigyasa, meaning now one should inquire about the absolute truth. In order to study Vedanta, in order to get the answer to these questions, you actually have to be interested in understanding what is the ultimate truth. As soon as you're interested in the ultimate truth, then you're qualified. But who is actually interested? Most people are not interested, actually. But it's so nice to see in Oswego, some people are interested. I think you're interested, at least. Or maybe you heard Paloma cooks very nicely. I don't know. But whatever it is, no problem. You're all here. So, then we're going to do one more verse. Two more verses. Vitaraga Bhaya Krodha Manmaya Mamupashrita Bahavo Jnana Tapasa Puta Marbhava Magataha. I'm sorry, I didn't finish my thought. But the four main problems are that you were born in this world and you don't necessarily know why. That you will face aging. You cannot stop it. They start out so cute and then they just keep growing, and the mothers want them to stay small and cute forever, but then they just keep growing and keep growing. And then the mothers also, they want themselves to stay the same for a while, but then they keep aging and keep aging. And same with us men, we keep aging and we can't stop it, and more grays are coming, and we cannot stop the process at all. So this is inevitability of life, is aging. Nobody wants to get old. But there's many benefits to being old. You get a lot of wisdom and things like this. But nobody necessarily wants this to keep happening, but it keeps going further and further and further. So this is a fundamental problem with life. I cannot stop this process. I don't want to become old. I want to stay like Piyush or Meghna forever, or even like Summer and Soham, or Siddhi and Riddhi. Yeah, I want to stay like that forever. But no, it cannot be. It cannot be like that. So this is a fundamental issue. The other one is disease. We just had a pandemic a few years back where the whole world has gotten some disease. But that's not the only disease. There's constantly diseases. There's this vaccine for that disease, this vaccine for this disease. There's thousands upon thousands of diseases always attacking us. And maybe some of us, we get 3 to 10 diseases a year. Who knows how many times we get sick in the year. Always the world is, actually trying to kill us in essence, kind of what disease is. So this is a big problem, actually, and we can't stop it. And most people eventually, like our dear Holly, one of our community members, actually left this world last night. And the reason she was taken off life support, because even in the midst of the medical facility trying to preserve her life, in the midst of that, it actually caused her to get another disease as pneumonia. And then it became a very dangerous thing, and you just cannot stop it. And then ultimately what does that do is it causes death. And nobody wants to die. Nobody wants to die. But everyone has to die. I'm sorry, kids. I'm not trying to make if you didn't know, I'm sorry. But we must deal with that thing. These are the main problems of life. So Krishna is saying in the past verse, you don't have to keep coming into this world and dealing with these problems that everyone is dealing with. You can actually come to my eternal abode. How? Know the nature of my appearance, my janma, and my karma, my activities. And by learning about this, you'll be eligible to go to the other world beyond. So that's what the Hare Krishna people do. We say, hey, he's saying if we just know about his birth and activities, we'll have a better situation. So we learn about Krishna's birth and activities, how he appears in this avatar, that avatar, this Leela, that Leela, all his divine activities. So then, he says, being freed from attachment, fear, and anger, which were some of the things that Shweta was talking about before, being fully absorbed in me and taking refuge in me, many, many persons in the past became purified by knowledge of me, and thus they all attained transcendental love for me. So the first thing is, one, if we have all kinds of material attachments, and all kinds of material desires and things like that, fear and anger, it will block us from being able to be absorbed, fully absorbed in the divine, in God, in Krishna, understanding who God is. So there's many things, like, let's say you like certain TV shows. What's a popular TV show people are watching nowadays? No one watches TV here? Very good. Summer, what's your favorite TV show?
The Legacy of Monsters.
The Legacy of Monsters. Okay.
It's a Godzilla series.
A Godzilla series. Godzilla was one of my favorite shows when I was a kid too. So when you're a kid, these are less prominent. But most likely your parents have a little less time for all kinds of TV shows because they're so busy taking care of you guys and they find other important things. But ultimately, when we realize that being fully absorbed in God is the highest and best thing that we can do, all these other Netflix series, all these other Legacy of Monsters, and this thing, that thing, and the other will be less and less prominent. And ultimately, we want to become freed from all kinds of material attachments, fine dining, the mating process, the finest sensory enjoyments, whether it be music or the television or the finest foods or this, that, and the other. And ultimately, fear and anger should also go. Because we're fearing losing all the things, and we get angry when we can't have all the things that we want. Usually have to do with, gratifying the tongue, the belly, and the lower regions. This is usually what the living entity struggles with, the vices, the main vices. So anyhow, being fully absorbed in me and taking full refuge in me, putting all of their trust and faith in the Lord. He said, many persons in the past became purified by knowledge of me, and thus they all attained transcendental love for me. So first, without knowledge, if you don't even know who the Lord is, there's no chance of love. No chance of love. Like, for instance, we have a nice relationship with Shweta and Paloma. They invited us here. But if I don't even know who Shweta and Paloma are, how can we have any type of exchange of affection? No, we must know them first. And then we know them, we meet them, and we say, oh, I remember Benita, we met, we have knowledge of who each other are, and then there can be some type of relationship there. Love can be exchanged in the proper relationship. So similarly, if we don't have any knowledge of the Lord, what is to speak of all kinds of love? There's no chance of love without knowledge. So Prabhupada always recommended, first try and understand who the Lord is. Then, once you know who the Lord is, then you could try and love Him. But many of us are, oh yes, I love God, I love God. Yes, very good. What do you know about God? Oh, not very much. Okay, how much love can you have for someone you don't know? Many of you love your children, right? Does any mother here say they don't love their children? Of course you do. But one of the reasons you can love your children is you know your children very well. From the moment even before they came out. My wife is learning things about the little one right now, even before he's come. So this is, there's no question of having any relationship if there's no knowledge of understanding. So if you don't know much about God, what's to speak? How can you attain this transcendental love? Which is ultimately how many persons in the past became purified. Does everyone realize that we should maybe have some purification in our life? Is anyone so bold to say that, no, I'm perfect as is. I've got it all. I'm free of any vice. I don't ever get angry. I'm not in fear and attachment of any material thing. Can anyone say like that in this world? No, good. You all have a significant level of humility. Even in the Christian religion, this is a very beneficial thing to have. Those who are humbled shall be exalted, and those who exalt themselves shall be humbled. That's like the Christian saying. That's what Jesus would say. And this is ultimately the truth. You know, if we become very pompous and then, oh no, I'm perfect as is. Oh, I got it all figured out. Life always humbles us, you know. Have you ever had a phase like that in your life? Oh, I've got it all figured out. And then destiny arranges, and nope, I don't have any of this figured out. So yes, but if we humble ourselves and realize our small position, then the Lord can exalt us. So these are some things we could work on. And this is the verse, the main verse. This was the first verse I ever memorized. And it goes, Ye yatamam prapadyante tam stataiva bhajamyaham mama vartmanu vartante manushya partha sarvashaha. Does anyone know what it means? It means, as all surrender unto me, I reward them accordingly. Everyone follows my path in all respects, O son of Pritha. Meaning, all paths are ultimately set out by the Lord. But some are, just like we could get here to Paloma's house. Some of us used the GPS to get here, so it took us in a very fast route. But some of us, we might want to take the scenic route. Actually, we ended up doing a little scenic route on accident on the way here. So no problem. And some of us might have went the complete opposite way, and then we had to turn around and come another way to get here, something like this. So everyone is eventually, the destination of all living entities is to reach God, because that's from which we all come. Everyone is connected to the Supreme. Even the atheist, everybody. There's no person, there's no living entity that isn't connected to God. But if the living entity wants to spend their life running away from God, no problem. There's an eternity for that living entity. They'll suffer in this life, the next life, and so on. They'll keep suffering, but they'll eventually get their way to God. But ultimately, as you surrender unto Him, He rewards you accordingly. And to me, that was just like the best deal I could come up with in my life. Like, okay, so if I just surrender unto Him, He's the one giving all the rewards that I'm looking for out of life anyway, because it's all coming from God. Krishna talks about in Bhagavad Gita, all of the opulences of this material world ultimately are representations of Him. He's the taste of water, He's the sun, He's the moon, He's the offering, He's this, He's that, the other thing. Everything that you want is stemming from Krishna, is stemming from God. So why not we put so much faith in our systems of work, our karma, okay, I have to do 40 hours for this employer and they will give the fruits and things like this. And I'm not saying you stop doing your work, everyone is going to quit their job tomorrow. This would be very bad for the families, it would be very bad. But we should understand from which these blessings come from. We should understand that, as some of you might have known, who here has had to change jobs a few times in their life? Yeah, it's very rare you have you live, even my parents' generation, it was more, the trend. But it's very rare that you work a one job your whole career. You have to change many jobs and get new jobs and get new jobs. Because you can't rely on these systems. But ultimately, who is controlling all of it? It's God. It's Krishna. So surrender unto Krishna is His recommendation. It's our recommendation. That's why, yes, you might think like, okay, well, I could be making money right now. Why should I take time to come chant? Why should I hear anything about Krishna? I could be making money. No problem. You could. Maybe you could work, but do you really trust your own contrivances or your own ideas about how to make money? You never know. You could come to this program and a billionaire could be sitting next to you and you have no idea. You have no idea what God can arrange. And the devotees, we often see this. We don't make so many personal endeavors to make so much money, yet somehow or other everything that's needed usually will come. Not that everything that we want, but everything that's needed usually will come. So like this, the Lord, He rewards us accordingly to the degree of our surrender. And there's many things that money cannot buy. The quality of your relationships, money could never buy these things. The quality of your spiritual well-being, money can never buy these things. Actually, money usually is the antithesis to these things. In the Christian religion, Jesus says it's harder for a rich man to enter the kingdom of God than to thread a camel through the eye of a needle. Have you ever thread a camel through the eye of a needle before? It's very difficult. Almost impossible. So, but why? Because the rich man, the way they get rich is they become very attached to money and making more and more and more and more money. And that's how you get rich. You know, you just keep wanting, it's never enough. That's why you have so many billionaires in this country, right? And billionaires, it's astounding how much money $1 billion is. You can't even imagine. You know, I don't know, I was watching something online and they were illuminating how much $1 billion is compared to like a couple $1,000s. It's like crazy. It's like millions of times more. But in order to be a billionaire, you have to work and endeavor for more money, more money, more money. So of course, you know, as you're surrendering all your time and energy into creating wealth, what time is left for God? Very few time. But you see, there's a Western axiom. They say more money means what?
More problems.
No, definitely not that one. More money, more problems. That's what they say in the West. More money, more problems. We don't have faith in that. We think, no, if I had more money, it would definitely solve my problems. No, more money means more problems, actually. And so, but if you surrender, it's not that we say, well, just give up money. We pay our bills too. We have lights and heat and this thing and internet and all these things that cost money. But we don't say give up these things. We say use these things in Krishna service. We have a self-loan plan, an internet plan, some technological device. We don't say give up anything, but use these things in Krishna service. We have Facebook and social media, all these other things. But we're trying to broadcast the message of Krishna on these things. And we're not saying everyone go do exactly what we're doing, But everyone has their own unique way, like Paloma had gathered, and Shweta had gathered their friends in Oswego. Let's have a program on something a little bit more than just the basic niceties of life. So this is our humble plea is to take Krishna or take God seriously. And the more you give to God, the more your life will have rewards that money could never buy. Money cannot buy relationship happiness. Not just like between significant others, but relationships and people and friends. Money cannot buy the happiness one could feel in yoga, which is communion with God. Money cannot buy these things. But Krishna will happily give you all of these things. And it's far more valuable than money. So we humbly request you to consider that Krishna is someone worth hearing more about, developing some knowledge about Krishna, and exchanging love. Ram, the word Rama, Hare Rama, and I'm Ram Das. Rama means the source of all pleasure. Do you know how I know you're all looking for pleasure? Tell me how I know. He's just saying because you're here. I'm a little bit more specific than that. Just being here. Because
material world.
Well, even in the material world. Because you exist. Because you have an existence, the inherent calling of the soul is it's searching out for pleasure. Everything you do is because you think you'll get it pleasure. Now, whether you're in ignorance or not, that's another thing. We think pleasure is over here and I go over here and there's no pleasure. It doesn't mean you weren't looking for pleasure. You just didn't know how to get pleasure. But actually, the source of pleasure is God. That's what Ram means. When you're saying, oh Ram, hey Ram. Yeah, that's what Ram means, the source of pleasure. And yet we go everywhere else for pleasure. Oh money, here's pleasure. Or, this new technology, this new appliance. Maybe we run to our family members, run to the children, run to this, that, and the other. Yes, some pleasure is there. But ultimately, all the pleasure, and the one that will keep the pleasure coming for eternity is in God. So don't trust me. You can read Bhagavad Gita again for yourself. Just get Krishna's reminder. Also, I would recommend, if you don't have Swami Prabhupada's Bhagavad Gita, we'd be happy to give it to you. We'll give it to Paloma. We have many Bhagavad Gitas. Maybe we can share. We made a grave mistake of not bringing them this time around, and I apologize. I don't know how we forgot. But anyhow,
Is there any Bhagavad Gita came for the kids, like just main chapter or something small for the kids?
Yeah, we have some kid-friendly books as well. But usually you'll want the parents to assist the kids, to help read with the kids. Especially the pastimes of Krishna, of Bhagavan Krishna, are very nice, very sweet.
Yeah.
And you can read them to the kids. We have many books like that. If you go to India, they have really hyper-specific, like my wife has a bunch of the very little kids books that if we had say a class just for kids, we can study these type of books and things. But we don't have them for mass distribution. But in India, they have them in certain places. We like to get them.
Like some temples too, like Brooklyn Temple has them at their gift shop.
Okay.
Yeah, we found in New Jersey too, right?
Yeah.
The Swaminarayan Temple, we bought. Remember, Sudhir? One book
A few temples have
about the
Yeah. So maybe we'll try and stock up on some kid-friendly things. But right now we have some things, but not as much as we'd like. But anyway, any questions from you guys? Discussion points? Rebuttals? All is fine. Okay. Is that good? So, what's the program? Do we have time for one more kirtan? So one more kirtan, and then we'll all have prasad, in which was offered to the Lord, which is a part of the archana. Where is archana? Archana is right there, which is part of the archana process. We offer all of our food stuff to Krishna, and we ask that he blesses it, and actually it becomes his remnants, and then we eat his remnants. That's our archana process. So we all were fortunate we were able to do that here today. So, what do you think? You want to lead one?
No, not you.
Are you sure?
Yeah, you just do a different melody. You can do a better job.
Okay, we'll do one more kirtan and then we'll all eat prasad together if that's okay.
As long as you're okay with it.
Yeah, no.